The system isn't broken. It's not failing. It is thriving because it is working exactly the way that it was designed to. I meditated on him in my mind's eye. It was just coming up. What's up, guys, and welcome back to my channel and another episode of Spiritual Baddie, the podcast. How are we all feeling in this dumpster fire of the state of the world? I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm just laughing because we got to get through it somehow, right? I originally filmed this video yesterday and my sound ended up being all fucked up. But how is the sound? How are you guys liking this new microphone? But everything happens for a reason. I know I've been kind of here and then kind of not. Originally, when I filmed this video, I was like, oh, I'm sorry, I've been gone. But at the same time, I have nothing to offer if I'm not taking care of myself. If you are stressed out about the current climate of everything that's happening in the world, that's valid. Shit's going down, but we knew it was going to, right? I'm trying to balance staying informed and staying aware of what is going on in the world while also knowing when it's becoming too much for me and when I really need to ground back into my body and my routines and literally go touch some grass, get some sunlight on my skin and go for a walk, breathe some fresh air, get my ass out of my house. You know what I mean? If things are overwhelming for you, I would really advise you to do the same. Something that really helps me when I'm feeling like uncertain or anxious about the state of the world or the future or about my own life is ironically getting some kind of reading. And that might sound counterintuitive to look into the future when you're anxious about the future. But depending on what kind of reading you get, it can really just give you some like clarity. I think that readings are always supposed to uplift you and inspire you, whether it's a tarot, which is reading your current energy and the trajectory based off of your current energy. It can tell you if there's anything that you need to change so you can change that trajectory. Or if it's astrology and it just confirms that this, whatever I'm going through, this phase of my life right now, like this is going to pass because it's just a transit. Whether it's somebody channeling and they can feel your energy and tap into and talk to your higher self, or it is a medium who can talk to your spirit guides or your ancestors on the other side. It just really kind of helps you ground back into focusing on yourself and your life instead of looking at it as a whole. So it's going from being in this anxiety about the future to this excitedness about the future because like you have something to look forward to, if that makes sense. Speaking of readings, I wanted to take a moment to talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is Keen. If you have not heard of Keen before, Keen is an online platform of spiritual advisors ranging from anything from psychics, astrologers, mediums, life coaches, intuitive guides, and anything under the sun of the spiritual advisor world. So whether you are a skeptic and you want to use astrology because there's 2,000 years of data to back it, or you are feeling like you want to talk to a medium and you want to get advice from somebody on the other side that you trust, Keen has it all and it's super transparent. It's really easy to make an account, and the way that it's set up, it's really like Uber Eats for psychics. You can see all of the readings, you can see everybody's rates, and you can connect to an advisor 24/7 wherever you are in the world via phone call or chat. If you've never tried Keen before, you can go to the link in the description or go to trykeen.com/Sanella to get your first 5 minutes for only $1. Yes, you heard that correctly. 5 minutes with an advisor for only $1 at any time, at anywhere in the world, wherever you are. Thank you, Keen, so much for sponsoring this video, and let's get back into the episode. It's almost like we're all waiting for something to happen, but we have to continue to live our lives because sitting here in fear and waiting and just suffering in agony, waiting for something to happen, it's not helpful. It's not helpful for anybody, because it's already happening. It's not some big event. Historically speaking, there's a pattern when these kinds of things happen. And I know I'm being very vague and very cryptic, but you will know what I'm talking about. And I kind of have to be, because we are being so heavily censored. I actually had a video get taken down on TikTok yesterday. I didn't even say anything, really. It was a hot take, but it was really just my opinion. I think it was pretty objective. I showed it to some people and they were like, this is crazy. You should be allowed to voice your opinion, even if it's controversial. And I wholeheartedly agree. And that is really what I want to talk about today. With a lot of these new executive orders, just all of these ridiculous rules and regulations in the name of bringing back traditional values. It's so obvious to me that everything is so deeply interwoven and so intentional. The system isn't broken. It's not failing. It is thriving because it is working exactly the way that it was designed to. I know that it's very scary. It's overwhelming. There's a lot of changes happening with our new felon Cheeto in office. By the way, take that with a grain of salt. I am a libertarian. I've always been very bipartisan, I guess, in my views, where I think both parties are usually bad. There's always some kind of hidden agenda, right? I think that the two-party system is super oppressive, and so is the Electoral College. I think we really should be giving the power to the people if we really want to call this a democracy. I know why it was created, because we couldn't count all the votes back then realistically, but everything is digital now and it's perfectly possible to do so. I know that it can seem scary when we are being censored and rights are literally being taken away. And I went down a rabbit hole. We knew that TikTok was getting banned, right? And we knew that it probably had nothing to do with China. But for those of us who wandered over to Xiaohongshu after many people really expanded their worldview, and we realized that we've been fed a lie our entire lives. And that was intentional. All of it is very intentional. The way that education is very hard to come by because it is so inaccessible. It's expensive. It's funded by area. So low-income areas have lower budgets for schools. But if you take that beyond public school and you go up to college, let's say you were privileged enough in the United States to be able to afford to go to college, or you're in crippling debt, most of us are, from going to school. For the first time, you begin to expand your worldview. From what I remember, at least, we had a world geography in K through 12th grade, let's say. But my first year of college, I had to take a lot of history classes on different parts of the world. So I took a European studies course. I decided to take that one because I am from Europe. I came here when I was 2 years old. I was born in Germany, where we were originally seeking refuge. We were not able to get citizenship there, so we got sent to the United States. And I grew up here since I was 2 years old. But my culture is very much still alive in my family. I was raised on my language, on my food, on my culture. So I always had that. But when I really started taking these history classes and expanding my worldview, my mind just changed. And once you see something different, there's no unseeing it. You can never go back. When you start getting into perspective, the way that other people are living in other parts of the world, you really start to realize that this is not the greatest country in the world like we've so been fed. We really only learn about American history, which is a narrative that isn't always correct. In high school, I love this teacher. I think teachers are so important. He was so passionate about history, and I think history is really interesting. I think it's really important for us to learn it so that we don't repeat it like we're doing now. My American history teacher in high school, he was telling us about the very, very early days of the colonies in America, and they were starving. People do really horrible things when they are hungry, really horrible things. That's why sometimes it's used as basically a war on people. In our textbook, it said the first American people were, and I'm not like, I know they're colonizers. I know the first American people are Native Americans. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the first settlers. They were so hungry that they were eating twigs and grass and stuff. That's what it said in the textbook. And he was like, all right, do you guys want the PG version? Do you guys want the PG version that's in your textbook, or do you want to know what actually happened? I just think it's so cute when humans just like love what they do. And I think half of the class actually really wanted to know the truth. He started telling us some really dark stuff. He was like, all right, they're not going to write this in your high school textbook, but when you're in college and you're getting a master's in American history, this is what they tell you. It was so gruesome. They were cannibals. They were killing each other and they were eating each other. And then he proceeded to tell us, a trigger warning, this is graphic. He proceeded to tell us a story about a man who had a pregnant wife. He killed her. He cut out the baby. He ate the baby. And then he ate the wife. And they wrote that they were eating twigs and sticks. I would just call that a straight up lie. I wouldn't even call that like an exaggeration. I just always appreciate the truth, even if it's hard to hear. Anyways, the point that I'm getting at is when I started to have to take these classes, my European studies class, for my final for this class, which was 50% of our grade, we had to go to these seminars that were being hosted at my school. They were 2 hours long, but I waited until the very last one. And like, honestly, I think everything is so divinely coordinated. I waited until the last one, which was 5 hours. And I was like, oh, dude, like, why did I do this? Like, why did I wait until the last second? Like, this is gonna be so boring. I have to sit here for 5 hours. Bro, I was glued to the edge of my seat. Like, I'd never been taking notes so fast in my life. So the seminar that I had to go to was about healthcare around the world. And these were some very, very well-educated people that were coming to speak from all over the world. Like, every single person that was up there had like a PhD. They were very qualified to speak on the matter. And it was just really eye-opening to see that there are developing countries with better healthcare systems than we have in America. I learned that the US is the only high-income nation in the world that does not have some form of universal health care. And I mean some form. Like, it's completely privatized. And I know that we have like government assistance programs like Medicaid and stuff like that, even though that's trying to be defunded and taken away as well. However, other high income countries do always have some form of universal health care to make sure that everybody's covered, even if you don't have money or you go through a job loss or an injury or whatever the case may be, that you cannot afford insurance. So I learned that, but I also learned how inaccessible our healthcare was in contrast to how much technology and resources we have medically. We have some of the best treatments in the world. We have the best technology, scientists, research. There's so much of it. And yet we have so many unhealthy people, and it really sent me down this rabbit hole. And I know that this is a really long tangent, but what I'm trying to get at is I was fortunate and privileged enough to be able to get a college education. I'm also very, very fortunate that I grew up in an urban area. Like, I came straight from Europe to Chicago. And if you notice a pattern of very large cities or urbanized areas, usually people are more on the left, or they're more progressive or liberal even. It's because there's diversity. Because when you can learn about other people who aren't like you, it automatically expands your worldview. People who don't look like you, people who don't think like you, people who don't speak the same language as you, people from different religions. When you grow up in that, it's so normal to you. You see things more objectively. That's at least how it played out in my life. But now, if you look at rural America, which is majority of America, it's rural. America's huge, and a lot of it is farmland. We grow a lot of crop here, and that takes up a lot of space. You'll notice that a lot of those people, I would say 99% of them, they are more conservative, they're more traditional, they're normally Republican. These are usually the red states, right? Because if all you ever know is your family, your church, other people who look like you never knew anybody who left your small town, and you just marry your high school sweetheart and you stay in your small town and you repeat that cycle, how do you expect them to learn anything new? How? And then if they do get a college education that is so fucking expensive, like $80,000 to $100,000 plus dollars for a bachelor's degree, that's crazy. When you start learning about the world and how other people live and how other people think and what everything else is like, it gives you an idea. You start to see things in a different way. And suddenly you start to question, wait, these people seem a lot happier. These people are working a lot less, but they're having a better quality of life. It's more affordable to live there. They take naps during the day. They have universal health care. Then you start questioning, am I really living in the greatest country in the world? Or has it all been propaganda my whole life? It's all very, very intentional. The same with travel too. I was in Europe for a month this past summer, and I know that America is very big. I'm not talking about overseas travel. That is very expensive no matter where you are in the world. But let's compare state to state travel to country travel in Europe, since the countries are about the sizes of states in the US. If I were to get a flight from Chicago to New York, I can pay anywhere from $300 to $500 if I'm lucky. Like, that's pretty average, but it can really, really vary and be a lot more. In general, flights are pretty expensive for domestic flights. And I really didn't realize this until I was in Europe and I started flying to different countries. I'm like, sorry, what do you mean a plane ticket to Italy is $15? Granted, I was flying from Croatia. It's really not that far. It's like an hour flight, but $15? $15. I pay more for an Uber that's like 2 miles away, but it's very intentional. You know, I think that all of this is coming full circle, and I will get to this in a second, but the rest of the world has always hated American tourists. You know, we're loud, we're uneducated, we're not traveled well, we don't know anything about the rest of the world. But I think the rest of the world is now seeing that it wasn't our fault. It was intentional. A well-educated, well-traveled person who's spoken to many people from many different walks of life, they're going to ask questions. They are going to ask questions, and they don't like that. I know that everything is very overwhelming and it's scary. All of these executive orders are very extreme. I will actually tell you some of them, but I do want to emphasize that this is so important and it's so necessary. It's a good thing. It's gonna get worse before it gets better, but it's a good thing. It needs to happen. Of course, we'll never know, but I feel so deeply that it would have happened no matter who was in office. I can tell you that much for certain from what I feel. It would have happened no matter what, because it is meant to happen. It is just happening a lot faster now. Every step that they take forward, they think that they're taking forward by putting more restrictions on us or trying to take rights away from us and put censors on us. It is actually 2 steps back, and it's 2 steps forward for us, because this is not the left versus the right. It's not conservative versus liberal. This is the people versus the power. It's literally the few in power versus everybody else. I understand that politicians often have a cult-like following that will blindly follow. When I filmed this video yesterday, I was like, you know, I didn't hate him before this term. I didn't hate him. I thought he was outrageous, but I know that they all are. He just does it openly. It's like giving Probably on the spectrum, because like I'm the same way. Like I literally say whatever I'm thinking. I don't think it's crazy. I just say it out loud because who the fuck cares? You're all thinking it too. I meditated on it today, and this is actually why I'm really glad that I had to refilm the video. I meditated on him, Orange Felon Cheeto Man, and in my mind's eye, it was just coming up like these like really deep-seated insecurities. And like for some reason, whatever, I like his father was coming up. Like I don't know anything about his dad. I think his dad is like also a rich businessman. I need to look this up. I actually probably should look this up. I'm gonna ask ChatGPT. Hey girl.
Hey, what's going on?
I'm recording a YouTube video. I just wanted to ask you, who is Donald Trump's dad? Like, is he anybody significant? Like, is he a businessman? Was he rich too?
Yeah, Donald Trump's dad was Fred Trump. He was a successful real estate developer in New York City. He built a lot of residential housing, especially in Queens and Brooklyn, and he was quite wealthy, which gave Donald a significant head start in his career.
Okay, the reason that I ask is because when I was meditating on DJ, his dad was coming up like as an insecurity that he felt like he had to prove something to him. Do you know anything about the nature of their relationship?
Yeah, their relationship was pretty complex. Fred Trump was a strong influence on Donald, and he set really high expectations. He pushed him to succeed in business and often emphasized competition and toughness. This dynamic could create a sense of pressure or a need to prove himself, so it might connect with what you felt during your meditation.
Holy shit. Okay, thanks, girl.
No problem. Let me know if you want to dive into anything else.
We're definitely going to get back into that one another time. That's fucking crazy. So instead of like going from this hate, and please listen before you jump to conclusions. I know this is a very triggering subject in this day and age. I don't like any of the things that he's doing. That's not what I'm saying. I felt this like sense of like, I just felt sorry for him, but not in a way like, oh, poor thing, because pain doesn't excuse you to do horrible things to other people. But it was so like desperate and pathetic, and it just suddenly it all made sense. Because why would you be censoring things? Why would you want your name and your picture all over everything? Why do you want people to worship you like as a cult-like following? Because he really wants to be popular. He wants to feel like the most powerful person on earth. And what I was picking up was like a lot of insecurity from the father. DJ never felt like he was doing enough no matter what he did. And that his father was like always disappointed. And I feel like that's showing up right now a lot as like a wound of like, well, yes, I am. And you're all gonna make sure that I'm the most important person in the world, because it's just so fueled by ego, but in a way that's so driven by insecurity. And it just became so obvious to me. Like, I've been making content for 5 years. I get a lot of hate on my videos, and sure, some people are annoying. I'll block them. I'll argue with you. If I have receipts, I love a good debate. I love it. Okay. But for the majority of it, like, if I could make the rules and be like, no, nobody is allowed to argue with me. You will go to jail and you will be banned.
Right to jail, right away.
Banned from ever saying anything bad about me. Like, I would be like, what the fuck? No. Like, they have a right to voice their opinion just as much as I do. I might not agree or like what they're saying, but I so fully believe in freedom of speech. I believe in autonomy. I just really don't think that because somebody disagrees with you, somebody doesn't like you, oh, boo-hoo, boo-hoo. You're spreading information because you said you didn't like me in your video. That's literally what happened in my videos that got taken down. This past one recently. I've heard it happening to a lot of people since the ban, but it hasn't happened to me yet. I never explicitly said anybody's name, I guess, until now. I feel like I can just see the bigger picture, and I don't know how more people don't see it, because it's just like so very obviously all so divinely coordinated. I was devastated when TikTok went down, especially because it went down early. I was actually in the middle of filming my final video so I could say my goodbyes to people that have been on this journey with me. And as I'm editing the video, my phone starts glitching. I get the notification about, January 19th, whatever, it's going to go into effect. I got that notification at around 9 p.m. Central Time. The latest time in an American time zone is Eastern Time, which is 1 hour later. So it would have been 10 o'clock. So that would leave us with 2 hours. And then the second notification, like I just got kicked out of the app. And then all we were left was a notification saying that we were out. But the one before explicitly stated that the ban was going in on the 19th. Why would they put them out only like 15 minutes apart? And of course, we knew for like a year that it was getting banned, but it was just like, it felt so apocalyptic the way that it just started shutting down. It's very telling. I know it's social media. That might seem like an exaggeration to call it apocalyptic, but that it felt like that. And the reason that I say that is because it just shows you that they can do it. They can do it if they wanted to. So why aren't they taking care of all of the horrific things that are on the internet that I will not even say out loud because we all know what the fuck I'm talking about, okay? Anyways, that was a sidebar. When the app came back, something just felt so off. My friend called me in the morning. She's like, babe, oh my God, it's back. And I'm like, what the fuck? But immediately upon her saying that, I was like, something is not sitting right here with me. And then when I opened the app, I felt nauseous. And again, I don't care if that sounds dramatic. My body, your body is psychic. Your body will give you so many signals about what's happening in your environment. When you can tap into that, you are already ahead of most people in knowing what the fuck is going on. I started scrolling through my For You page and it was very patriotic, if you catch my drift, which if you've seen literally any of my videos, I am quite the opposite of patriotic in this country. I have literally never wanted to be here. Like as soon as I could fucking speak in English, I was asking my parents, I'm like, I don't want to be here. Where the fuck did I come from? Take me back there. I don't like it here. Like I just never felt like I belonged here. I'm not a patriotic person. Not for here. And go ahead, tell me to go back home. I'm a citizen. I got a passport. Tell me, I'm fucking used to it. It's a lot more complicated than that, Susan. Okay? I would leave if I could. It's actually very fucking hard to do that, okay? It's very, very fucking hard. I paid $12,000 as a single person just to move cities in the US. I moved from Chicago to Miami. It cost me $12,000 just to move me, just me. So think about that before you're telling a family of 5 to move out of the country, okay? Shut the f*** up, please. You sound stupid. Anyways, so I was like, ooh, no, what the fuck? This doesn't feel right. And I'm like, I don't want to go to Instagram. I'm not going to be on Meta. And then I saw a video, this guy talking about Red No, about Xiaohongshu. And I was like, okay, let me try it. I loved it. The Chinese people were so incredibly welcoming. They were speaking English. Xiaohongshu got us automatic Mandarin subtitles on our videos within like a week. I'm like, how the fuck did you guys turn around that fast? I love Red Note. I've learned so much about what Chinese people and Chinese culture and just life in China is actually like, not the fucking lie propaganda that we've been fed our entire lives. And they have also been fed American propaganda about us. Like they really thought that we were living the dream here. They thought our streets were paved with gold. Like the things that they thought about us, like, and the things that they didn't know about us that we were both equally shocked by. It was just like, holy fuck. Like it was just such a blessing in disguise. And this is what I'm talking about. They think they're taking one step forward, but they're actually taking 2 steps back. Because one thing about our generation, Gen Z, millennials, one thing about us is that we're fucking petty. We might not be running in the streets with pitchforks, but we are petty. Meta thought they're gonna come running to us. We're like, actually, we're going straight to China now. Chinese people thought that you get paid to have children. For every child that you have, the government just gives you checks so that you can take care of them. They thought that if we just work hard and go to school and work very hard in our jobs, that we could buy a mansion. I heard somebody say the average American is a homeowner and their homes on average cost about $1 million. I was like, what? It was crazy. Also, they were fucking shocked. They were absolutely flabbergasted at the fact that you can sell your plasma, you can sell your eggs, you can sell your sperm in the US, and you can get a lot of money for it, or a little bit of money for plasma, but like people do it when they're really desperate. They were fucking shocked. They're like, wow, I'm like, they will capitalize off of anything there, but they're like, why are you guys doing that? And we're like, dude, like we're fucked here. Like we're struggling. Like we work so much. We're so tired and we can like barely afford to live. Like inflation is insane. The cost of living is rising and the wages are not. It was just, there was a lot of compassion that was happening between two cultures. Like I literally, every time I opened that app, I would just cry. But like, it was like tears of gratitude because I just thought it was so beautiful for, you know, these people that are on other sides of the world that have been conditioned to hate each other actually became such close friends and allies. You know, China might not be an ally of the United States per se, but I know that thousands, if not millions of us who migrated over from TikTok, we made so many friends. Like, those are our sisters, our wifeys, our lao po. Like, I'm learning a little bit of Mandarin. One step forward, two steps back. We are like in this push-pull because every time they put more restrictions on us, you are going to get a new wave of people that affects, that they're like, wait, what the fuck? That's actually really fucked up. I thought you were on my side. And then they're like, no, shut the fuck up. You can't say that. And then every time that happens, the more that they try to put restrictions on us, the more we resist. Okay, I've talked about this in another episode about the dynamic between my family and I. I grew up with very, very strict parents, but I was like the rebel or like the scapegoat of my family. Every time I had more restrictions come down on me, I just wanted to rebel more because I could just see that it was so unfair, you know, and that's exactly what's happening here. But the biggest thing for me is like, why would you be putting so many censors and restrictions on the people if you didn't see them as a threat? Because it looks so pathetic how desperate it is because it's so extreme. Like, what are you scared of? When do you think we're gonna do something? Oh, are you losing your grip? Are you losing your grasp that you should have never had in the first place? Oh, boo-hoo. Like, it's just so pathetic. And you can actually look at other revolutions throughout history or resistances where the government was like kind of losing their grip of power against the people because the people weren't trusting them because they weren't being taken care of. Their basic necessities weren't being met anymore. And they start acting erratically. They start being very frantic. And I think that that's exactly what's happening here. If you don't know what's happening, if you haven't read any of these executive orders, I'm going to read you some. I took these straight off of whitehouse.gov. You can look these up yourself. I literally wish I could make this up. I cannot make this shit up. I will put them through ChatGPT so that she can explain them. If you have not seen any of these executive orders, which I don't know how you haven't, but again, it's probably not your fault. We are being heavily censored in the US, or you just don't want to know because you want to be blissfully aware. Well, I am not going to let you be because we still have to stay informed. The more they push us, the more we push back. This is a revolution, baby. DJ is just bringing it faster. When I was meditating on him, I was hearing the words, bringer of chaos. He is the bringer of chaos. He is bringing so much chaos that it's going to piss us off a lot faster. We're going to resist a lot faster. So in a way, it's kind of speeding up the timeline and it's going to get worse before it gets better. But we are in a 9-year in numerology, which is death, destruction, and rebirth, the end of cycles. We are also having our Pluto return for America, and Pluto just went into Aquarius, which is the rebellion, innovation, humanitarianism, and unity. So, by the way, a lot of millennials and Gen Z, I don't know the exact years, you have Uranus at home in Aquarius. So if you feel that urge to fuck shit up and start a revolution, it's literally written in the stars for you. Also, a funny story, since I was a child, like literally, I'm not even joking, this is going to sound insane, but like as early as I can remember, probably like 5 years old, I have dreamt of leading or being a part of a revolution, because I don't know why or how I could see since I was a child that something was very off. Things were not the way that whoever put us here intended things to be for us. I just felt like, and I don't want this to sound like I have like a superiority complex or something, but I just felt like I was special, or that I came here to do something very special, and that I wanted to be remembered for something really important. And I literally was saying since I was like 5 years old, I'm like, I don't want it to be something vain. I want to be remembered for making a difference, for doing something really important. And I actually wanted to be president when I was little. And I remember telling my parents when I was in like, I think it was in like second or third grade, I came home and I was like, I decided that I'm going to be president and I'm going to change everything. It's going to be a better world. And I was like so devastated when I found out you have to be born in the US and you have to be 35. So imagine me when I'm like, what are you, like 7 years old? And I'm like, my life is over. I'm going to be almost dead when I'm 35. And now I'm 29 and I'm like, I feel like I haven't even started my life. Anyways, that's just a little side note, but we are going to put some of these executive orders through ChatGPT, because I know once you start getting into the legal terms, the legalities and the formalities, the entire thing starts to fall apart and it doesn't make any sense anymore, right? So we are going to ask ChatGPT to explain these to us like we are 5. And I have already had her do this. This is not all of them. This is just some of the more extreme ones. So a recent one that I saw that was very concerning was the 100 words banned in the proposal, which was really just targeting everybody but the white man. These words were targeting words like LGBT, non-binary, assigned male at birth, assigned female at birth, gender, and transgender. The fact that you cannot use the word gender in a federal proposal is crazy. But also there was another one, inclusion. That was one of the banned words in federal proposals. Sorry. I'm like, how is this constitutional? How is it constitutional? It's not. Is that not a infringement of the First Amendment? It's crazy how much censorship we are experiencing when it is the literal fucking First Amendment. Freedom of speech, it is the foundation of our country. And I don't think that it's a coincidence that he befriended all of these like social media moguls like right before the inauguration, because it would be unconstitutional. It would be as illegal as it gets. It would never hold up if the government directly put censors on us, but they do secretly, through media outlets and not sharing things on the news, withholding information. But social media companies are private media companies, and I have a video on my TikTok because I dove deep into this hole. I'm like, what the fuck does Oracle have to do with TikTok? I looked into the guy and it got insane. I was like ripping my hair up, like it was keeping me up at night, but I got really into it. We could talk about that more in depth in another episode, but there was some speculation that the words women and female were also banned, but the White House says that that's an error. So let's look at some of these other ones. This one was really concerning. So I saw this one came out on February 12th, One Voice for America's Foreign Policy Relations Executive Order. What this means is basically Trump has a total control over U.S. foreign policy by forcing all diplomats and officials to follow his directives without question. This means no independent decision-making. Everyone in the State Department must align with his policies or risk being fired. This also means cuts to embassies and foreign service. Many diplomats, including those who have focused on democracy and human rights, are being laid off. One-man foreign policy instead of multiple experts, okay, because we know that this dude doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Shaping international relations. Orange man's decisions are the only ones that matter. This kills diplomacy by removing diverse perspectives. Supporters claim it ensures a strong, unified foreign policy. Sorry, that's a dictatorship. No. We literally founded this country because we had a king and we were trying to get away from the monarchy. That's why we have checks and balances, but we don't have those anymore either because the DOJ and everybody else is all his friends and they're all aligned with his agenda. It was all part of the plan. Okay, so again, I don't want you to be afraid because people have to come to a breaking point to realize who is really the bad guy here. All of these things that they've been trying to keep us divided over for decades, if not centuries, we're all being targeted individually. So eventually, a wise man once said, the more you fuck around, the more you find out. Fafo. And the more that they piss us off, the more that we're going to put those differences aside and be like, hey, they fucked me over because I'm this. They fucked you over because you're that. They fucked over Joe because he's this. And they fucked over Jane because she's that. And we're like, oh, what is the common denominator here? We all have something in common. They're the enemy. That's what I'm trying to get at is he is the bringer of chaos. He's pissing us off a lot faster and a lot more openly than any other person would. So it would have happened inevitably. It's just happening much faster now. So this is a good thing because whatever's on the other side of this is change. It's real change. And we'll have new leadership because this is not leadership. This is force. A real leader listens to the concerns of their people. A real leader does what's best for their people, even if it means it is at the cost of their own well-being. A real leader is appointed and they hold a lot of responsibility, but you get that kind of responsibility through trust and through doing the right thing for the greater good of the collective, not just your fucking self or wanting to feel important and powerful. But again, this is all stemming from a deep, deep, deep insecurity. And I'm going to go out on a whim and say that that information came to me that it is from a father wound. And it's almost like it's so purposeless other than for revenge and to prove something to himself, because real confidence is quiet. It doesn't go around punishing people that don't see their worth. Anyways, dictatorship level control over foreign policy. That is super, super, super concerning, especially when you look at who Mr. Cheeto decides who he wants to be friends with, other dictators. So maybe he's getting some ideas. So these 3-letter word programs, I don't want to say them because I don't want this video to get censored. If I were to dye my hair, I don't fucking, you got it, okay? The 3-letter word. Okay, those programs, he dismantled them. Basically, any companies that work with the government, they have to prove that they don't have those programs, which is crazy. So they have no more training on racial or gender diversity in government jobs, and there's no federal grants or funding for projects on promoting diversity or. So it's an attack on free speech and equality. It's actually insane. Why would he want to do something like that? These orders are being framed as restoring traditional values, which was chilling to use those exact words, because I started watching The Handmaid's Tale last week, which I'm hooked. But season 4 is what's going to happen next year and the following years after that. The shit before, the first 3 seasons, that's what we're dealing with now. And obviously I'm being metaphorical here, but season 4 is when like shit starts getting really good and things start to change because people realize, this is fucked up, but we can do something. He wants to reduce government overreach, which that doesn't make any sense. And he wants to eliminate woke ideology, which is basically anybody who doesn't agree with him and his agenda. So yeah, that's very concerning. He wants to cut medical research with another 3-letter program. He claims that this 3-letter program is wasting money on research that doesn't lie with his administration's values. Because, research on like other things that maybe you don't fucking know about because you don't know anything, that's not important, right? The reason why this one is so concerning to me is like somebody who's really fascinated by science and has gone down many, many, many rabbit holes of food science and science about health is there's so many varying conclusions that come about. Like there's people that have had cancer and some have completely healed their cancer with a vegan diet. Some have completely healed it with a carnivore diet. Some have completely healed it with a keto diet. They all healed their cancer with their diet. But no two people are going to be the same. We're all from different parts of the world. We all have different nutritional needs. But also what I've learned over the past like 10, 15 years of looking into this stuff is there's always science to support something and they will find the conclusion. Which conclusion will they find? The one whoever is paying for wants. Do you get what I'm saying? Let me say that again. Whoever is paying for the research, they're going to find the evidence to support what they want it to say. Okay? That's what I'm saying. So if it doesn't align with his administration's values, that's going to be the only fucking science that matters. That's scary. Again, the more you fuck around, the more you find out. Keep pissing us off. Keep pissing us off. Go ahead. You're walking on thin ice. Do you know you have 30 minutes? Do you know you have 30 minutes? Oh, when I said The Handmaid's Tale, him wanting to bring back traditional values is if you've seen it, like that's something that they say a lot in their show. Their reasoning behind enslaving women and taking away all of their rights. So yeah, this one was really fucked up. Recognition of only 2 genders. I know that this one is very controversial. I've heard a lot of mixed opinions on this, and I just think it's absolutely insane to make that a law. You can have an opinion about it, but to make it a law is crazy. It's crazy. Let people do whatever the fuck they want, okay? Let them do whatever they want. I get it, like with children, don't expose them to that. But when they are adults, when they can have a developed brain or if they're old enough to get drafted in the military, they should be old enough to recognize themselves as whoever the fuck they want. It shouldn't be a law that they can't fucking do that. This is what you call the land of the free. Delay, deny, depose. And then obviously you've seen all the stuff on tariffs. This is kind of paused because there's negotiations on this stuff. These are just some of what I saw. And again, the more you fuck around, the more you find out. I made a video back in 2022 when Roe v. Wade got overturned. That went kind of viral. I think it has like almost 1 million views. But I said, mark my words, this era that we're living through, this right now, what is happening is the first step to the return to the matriarchy. And I don't necessarily mean like a literal matriarchy, but we are going to start seeing a lot more women in positions of power. And we already are. Like Mexico has a woman leader and like actually a lot of other countries now too. And we even had a vice president that was a woman, a Black woman at that. Like, I think that that's pretty fucking revolutionary. But what I mean by that is like, yeah, I just don't understand how some people don't see it. The more you fuck around, the more you find out. The more you piss us off, like the more we're going to unify and we're going to really fucking show you what it means to be the United States. We the people. It's literally in the fucking preamble. You guys should read it. Like, you really should. It's fucking sick. It's cool. Like, we are allowed to do this. Like, we're allowed to take down a tyrant if it becomes that way. And It's become that way. I've been talking about these things for a really, really long time. I've been making content for 5 years about this kind of stuff, but I've been talking about this for a lot longer. I started my spiritual awakening in 2015, so it's literally been a decade, and I've been called crazy. I've been called a conspiracy theorist. Like, people told me like I was on drugs or I was like schizophrenic or in a psychosis. Granted, there's still people that say that, but I've had a staggering amount of people come to me the past couple of months telling me, I am so sorry that I thought you were crazy. I thought you were cloud chasing. I thought that you were just like brainwashed or like you were on drugs or something, whatever. Like, multiple people have come to me saying something along the lines of, I'm so sorry, you were right about everything. You should start listening to your local conspiracy theorist because they've been going down these rabbit holes for a long time. Just a friendly reminder that conspiracy theorist was a term that was coined by the CIA to discredit and ridicule people who were getting too close to the truth, that were asking too many questions. Make sure you download your mesh networks, that you can still use your phone and message your friends and your community through Bluetooth locally. I think Fire Chat, Bridgefy, there's a bunch of them out there. Radios, walkie-talkies, keep sharing information relentlessly. That is what they're fucking scared of. That's why they're putting sensors on. Because if it was not threatening, if it wasn't scary to them, they wouldn't be doing it in the first place. Because an informed nation is a threat to them. It's dangerous, but it's good for us. Keep sharing it. Keep saying whatever the fuck you want. And honestly, I'm gonna start saying crazy shit because I'm gonna start saying it while I still have the opportunity to do so. And you should too. Information, knowledge is power. So keep sharing that knowledge. Anything that you want to know, I will tell you whatever you want to know. I'm an open book. Okay. That is all I have for you guys. Don't be scared. I know that times are really uncertain, but like, this is so necessary. And there's something really, really, really beautiful on the other side of this. If there's one thing that you can focus on right now and you want to stay informed, one, don't overdo it. Remember, come back to your body. Know when it's too much. Turn off your phone. Delete your apps. Go outside, touch some grass, breathe fresh air, okay? But another thing is look at the bigger picture. Look at the bigger picture, okay? Look at how unified we are becoming. People from all different walks of life, all different kinds of problems are all coming together and realizing that this isn't okay. This is the catalyst for change. Like, I'm literally getting all over chills, like literally into my crown, all the way down my spine. Like, I have goosebumps right now. This is the driving force that is going to bring about a new world, a new earth, like a different world. And we are going to decide how that goes. We must destroy everything old and obsolete first. Okay. I love you guys so, so, so much. Thank you so much for watching. My astrology readings are open. I will leave that linked in the description, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.
Too much that I've been through, so I put it all in that rear view. Clean money in a black whip, got old problems with the friends new. Yeah, I'm in the big leagues, told her don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. Yeah, I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly.